Wall Street veteran Bernard Madoff has been arrested and charged with running a $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown.
Now, while the collective rage currently is focused on WorldCom,
Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski was convicted of looting hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is one of the biggest fraud cases ever.
Their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Find out more on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands. The facts in today's episode are based on an indictment and an ongoing investigation. So all claims are purely allegations.
Have you ever had an opportunity fall into your lap? Have you ever had an offer that seemed too good to refuse? Have you ever taken it? Did it change your life for the better or the worse? Today on season 19, episode 1 of White Collars, Red Hands, we dive into the story of Christina Chapman, a woman who aided one of America's biggest enemies to line her own pockets. An innocent offer ended up being a deal with a dictator. Find out what happened on today's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
Okay, she worked in government. What's the big deal?
Mm-hmm,
a bunch of people do.
Yeah, that's
All
fair.
right.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, not quite as many anymore. But
yeah, a couple thousand people no longer work for the government.
yeah, downsizing. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I know how it is.
You know how it goes.
I know.
Downsizing an entire country happens.
It just just like the normal thing to do.
Yeah, just like I'm sure that this story is just going to be a bunch of normal stuff. Definitely not any dealings with natural enemies of the United States.
Not at all. No.
Right. Nothing crazy like that.
No, nothing crazy.
Yeah. So sorry guys. You're in for a really boring episode today.
Yeah, sorry. Our first episode of this season is just going to be a real snooze fest.
Yeah, we planned it that way. So if you were looking for something interesting,
you shouldn't have come here.
Okay, no, please please keep listening. That was a joke. Please. I heard 1,000 Spotify apps closing all at once.
Yeah, well, on that note, welcome to another episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
I'm Kashan.
And I'm Nina. We are so excited to be here. Episode 1 of the 19th season.
Season 19.
Yes, baby. Oh, I actually have an update.
Oh.
Yes. So we did an episode earlier in the year. I think, was it last season? About Sean Kingston.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So he and his mother were found guilty on all counts of their federal wire fraud. Their sentencing has not been scheduled yet, but they are guilty on all counts. So they're going to be going to jail, which sucks.
Does it suck? I mean, they did it.
For him, it sucks.
Oh, yeah, for him.
He's like, damn, no more beautiful girls.
No.
Anyways, Christina Marie Chapman, just an all-American girl who resided in Litchfield Park, Arizona.
I lived in Arizona. I don't even know where the hell that is.
I don't know. In March of 2020, Chapman got a message on LinkedIn. The message was asking her if she was willing to be the face of their company in America and help them get their overseas workers IT jobs in the U.S. Chapman agreed to this. And she got right to work. Chapman helped this company gain employment for their employees all over the U.S.
No one's cold calling you on LinkedIn to be literally the ambassador for a company. That's crazy. Like, unless you're well known, who the heck's reaching out to you in your LinkedIn inbox being like, hey,
I know.
Hey, do you want to be the new brand ambassador for edible underwear? No.
Well, she definitely knew. I mean, she definitely had an IT background. She definitely knew what she was doing.
So do a lot of people.
Yeah. Who knows how many people they reached out to?
Yeah.
She took the bait.
She's responded to an InMail message.
She was like, what's this?
Which InMail is like like the cold call emailing service that LinkedIn does. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? She was good at her job because with her help, the employees were able to gain employment at top companies in the U.S. Now, this seems like a good deal. The company was able to get their employees secured with employment, and Chapman gets a cut for helping people obtain jobs. Win-win, right? However, that LinkedIn message may have been more sinister than it appeared. When Christina Chapman got that LinkedIn message, she initially had no idea who was lurking behind the screen. And it was none other than the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, known to us, or better known as, North Korea.
Dun, dun, dun.
North Korea has been a hot topic of conversation since the Forgotten War ended in 1953. Now, if you are not familiar with North Korea, I'm just going to give a very, very, very brief overview history of it, just so you know why this is bad. North Korea has been in the news a lot since 2016. They're one of the world's most isolated, if not the most isolated countries. Not a whole lot is known about the day-to-day happenings of North Koreans because, frankly, their government doesn't allow us to know.
They probably don't have bulgogi, though, so they're already...
I have heard, though, that they have pretty good food.
No food?
The food that they do have is pretty good.
Oh, just like wheat?
Yeah, noodles.
And even like not a lot?
They don't have a lot of food.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of food. They had a really bad famine in the 1990s.
They're having a really bad famine now.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The Korean Peninsula has been divided for as long as recent memory. The country had been divided after World War II. Russia took one half of the peninsula, the U.S. took the other half. In 1948, Kim Il-sung made a movement to unite the two Koreas and thus caused the Korean War. Once the Korean War was settled, a demilitarization zone was formed, making a divide between North and South Korea. Kim Il-sung took over as leader of North Korea, and his family is still in power to this day. His grandson, Kim Jong-il, is now resides as the leader of the North Korean people. North Korea has changed tremendously since Kim Jong-il has taken power. A lot of the old policies have been thrown out the window, and he's really focused on North Korea's military power. A lot of their resources go into nuclear energy or nuclear weapons. Fun fact, Kim Jong-il loves Swiss cheese and demands that it be on the premises wherever he goes.
He looks like he loves Swiss cheese.
He looks like he loves Swiss cheese.
He kind of looks like if a potato became sentient.
Yes. Or more like a tomato.
But I mean, he's round and brown, so.
Yeah, I mean, he has more tomato energy. Like, he has the energy of a Roma tomato. Just like, blech, I want to take it off my sandwich.
Man, I am not following what you are putting down at all. This is making no sense to me.
I don't like tomatoes.
I love a Roma tomato. So this is a very personal analogy for you specifically.
Yes.
Okay.
A warm aroma tomato. That's the energy he gives.
A warm aroma tomato?
Yes. He's also very good friends with Dennis Rodman.
The only person who's really good friends with Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I mean, that checks out. It checks out. Dennis Rodman has also accidentally leaked some secrets about the North Korean dictator.
Yeah, he's a fucking basketball player.
Yeah.
He's not trained to keep secrets.
No, yeah, like, we actually, don't know how many children Kim Jong-il has. We suspect that there's 3.
The belly keeps him from getting it in.
Well, you would think, but
it's like bumper cars.
You would think, but there's a will, there's a way.
All right.
But then Dennis Rodman accidentally spilled that one of his children is a girl, and that had not been previously known. But anywho, I had an obsession with North Korea for a while, so I could go on about this forever. But I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of the country before diving into today's episode. So, very, very secretive. It's not a good, the people there just don't really have a very fruitful and plentiful life. I'm sure they do find joy in their day-to-day lives because that is all they know. But
as long as there's a camera pointed at them, they look like they are filled with joy.
Yes. They really, really love their leaders.
But they have to.
They have to, yeah. So it's no secret that North Korea has a complicated relationship with the rest of the world. Since 2003, North Korea has been sanctioned by the United Nations because of its expansion and testing of its nuclear weapons program. And North Korea, they fucking love nukes, dude. They love nukes. It was very stressful when I was living in Japan in 2017 because we thought that we were going to be nuked all the time. He was Kim Jong-il was like threatening to nuke us constantly. I actually, we had a nuke alarm that would go off if we thought a nuke was coming. And I had 4 minutes. That meant that when that alarm went off, it's like it's coming in 4 minutes. And I had 4 minutes to take shelter.
Take shelter means come to terms.
I'm just going to die. No, but I had a nuke bag just in case. I survived. And my plan was to run down into the subway station. Because I was a 2-minute run to the subway station.
There we go. Definitely some Fallout activity. That's a video game. Other people will get it. Don't worry.
Okay. I don't know. But anyways.
Go down to the
I
vault.
had water and snacks and a deck of cards. And, I was maybe going to survive.
Yeah, that'll keep you busy during the nuclear apocalypse.
You know. But anyway, I never had to survive this, but it was a little nerve-wracking. Anyways, because of its nuclear program, the United States has cut North Korea from its financial system, and the business that Americans can do with North Korea is extremely limited.
We're the only ones that can have nukes.
That's right.
How dare you? You guys are going to be evil. You guys are going to be evil with them. We were just going to do super cool shit with our nukes.
Yeah. Duh. Have you heard of Hiroshima and Nagasaki? That was cool.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That was the coolest thing we've ever done with a nuke. Being alienated from the rest of the world has made North Korea really creative with how they earn their money. So this is where Christina Chapman and other similar schemes come in. The FBI discovered that in 2022, North Korea dispatched thousands of IT workers around the world, and the money that they earn goes directly to North Korea's weapons programs. So what they do is say that they are not in North Korea. Sometimes they're saying that they're American, or they're working somewhere else. They will work remotely using VPNs, VPSs, and third country or IP addresses to fool companies into hiring them remotely. All the while, the salary that they're earning goes straight into the pockets of the North Korean government.
You telling me Doug in IT, who just moved our servers over, is funding the North Korean government?
He could be. And if you don't know what a VPN or these other things are, they essentially are something that you can put onto your computer where you fool the server into thinking that you're in a different location than you actually are.
Yeah.
So
I will give you.
You're gonna. No,
I will give you
$100
$100 if you can tell me what VPN stands for.
Oh fuck. Virtual. Oh shit. I even looked it up. Like I read it.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's virtual private network. So you at least got the virtual
I had virtual
part, right?
and I had network. I couldn't remember what.
Private? Makes sense in context.
Yeah, it does. It felt like it wasn't going to be that simple.
Anyway, you can send me that $100 whenever you get a chance.
I did not agree to that.
Oh, yeah, it was a bet. Run the tape back.
Okay, anyways. So, if I'm in Italy and I want to access American Netflix, I can use a VPN to make Netflix think that I am actually in America so that I can access the American version of Netflix.
And today's episode is actually sponsored by... No, I'm joking. We don't even have those sponsors. Everyone's got their sponsors. We don't have that.
No, not yet. But these people are working for North Korea and usually working under North Korea's munitions industry department, which is the department that oversees ballistic missiles, weapons productions, and research and development. So since 2020 that we know of, this has probably been going on longer, some of these IT workers have been able to, like I said, work remotely for U.S. companies. They do this by stealing the identity of U.S. citizens and applying for remote positions. And there were even files obtained, like when this investigation was going on, they found like information that they were using sources to like help write cover letters, resumes, how to interview, how to get a resident card, and like how to find job postings. they're not just obtaining jobs at shitty companies. Some of them have obtained positions in Fortune 500 companies, and they will receive laptops from these companies and other software that gives them the ability to see into the U.S. companies. And since they're not actually citizens, often their income is not being reported correctly to the IRS or to Social Security.
How did they get them shipped?
Oh, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Now, North Korea has not been able to do this on their own. They have had the help of some U.S. nationals to help pull off the scheme, just like Christina Chapman. With the help of Christina Chapman and some other unnamed co-conspirators, the North Korean government was able to pull off their scheme by infiltrating the U.S. workforce. The overseas IT workers, like I just said, stole the identities of American citizens, or in some cases convinced these American citizens to sell them their identities so that they could use them to apply for jobs. They would then validate the information under all accounts paid for by Chapman. And like I said earlier, they weren't going for random little companies. They're applying for Fortune 500 companies in all fields. We're talking technology, food delivery, car manufacturing, aerospace, media, retail, you name it, they want it. With their fake identities and knowledge about the positions, the IT workers would then apply, would have Chapman's help, and then they would get the positions. What's crazy is the job market really hasn't been that great since 2020. And so the fact that all these people are able to get hired is a little bit nuts.
Yeah, what the heck? I was on a 5-month job search before.
Yeah, because there's so many, especially the remote jobs, because there's so many people trying to get remote jobs. But they're all being outsourced unknowingly to North Korea.
I mean, I guess they were already lying. They could probably just put on there like, oh yeah, I have really great knowledge of all these like coding languages or something, and they're just putting everything into ChatGPT. Although I know that coders that also went to school for it are also just putting it into ChatGPT. So
yeah. So once they got hired, the IT workers would have, their employer would send them issued laptops for the company. And they would send them to Chapman's addresses, because she actually had an address in Arizona and in Minnesota. I don't know for certain whether they just sent them to Arizona or if they sent them to both, but they would send them to, they would use Chapman's address. However, Chapman would either keep the computers at her home, or and she would log into them almost daily, and then this would allow the IT workers to connect their computers remotely from North Korea.
I was going to say they could download like TeamViewer or something.
Well, they
control them remotely.
The way that they would do this, they actually were using the application AnyDesk.
Oh yeah, that's another one. It's the same thing, though.
Yeah, I did not even know what that was until this episode, but yes. They would use AnyDesk.
Yeah, basically lets you control a computer from another computer anywhere.
Yeah. And she was quoted saying at one point, "Oh, I use AnyDesk every day." This is what the FBI... So what Chapman was doing, the FBI would later call a laptop farm. And literally it was a laptop farm. She had so many laptops at her house. I'm not even sure where she put them all. And if Chapman didn't keep the laptops in her home, she would ship them to other co-conspirators who were in China. And so then either China would get, because I guess China and North Korea are able to send things to each other. So sometimes they would send them to North Korea, or they would keep it there. Now, if you're wondering how these employees were getting paid, when the IT workers would get paid, they would send their checks. They did use direct deposit sometimes, but they would also get their checks sent to Chapman's home, where she would then forge the signature of the person whose identity was being stolen and deposit the check into multiple accounts. Then, after depositing the check, the money would be transferred overseas to Chinese accounts, where it was then deposited into North Korean accounts. You cannot just Western Union money over to Pyongyang.
Oh, thank God. That's actually good to know. I had to send $1,000 over there in the coming week, so...
Yeah, now you know how to do it.
I'll send a money order.
Make sure
instead.
You send it to China first, and then over to North Korea.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Now you know. Now... Some question if Chapman knew that she was working with North Korea because they were like, oh, she didn't actually know who was behind that message. And like, she didn't know who she was talking to. Like, she might not have realized that it was North Korea. Like, she knew she wasn't, it was no one who was American, but like, she might not have known it was North Korea. And, regardless of who messaged her that day in 2020, even if she didn't know she was working alongside the North Korean government, she knew what she was doing was wrong. Chapman knew that the IT workers were taking the identities of American citizens and falsifying documents. In exchange, she had an exchange with one of the IT workers, and she said, in the future, I hope you guys find other people to do your physical I-9s. These are federal documents. I will send them for you, but you have to have someone else do the paperwork. I can go to federal prison for falsifying federal documents.
Yeah.
So
obviously, I don't think you could do this and be like, yeah, well, I keep 150 laptops in my home all open so that a bunch of people around the world can get into U.S. companies. But I think it's all on the up and up.
Yeah.
Like, no.
No,
obviously, you're doing something shady.
It's absolutely sketchy. And she did keep about, like you said, it was a couple hundred computers in her home at a time.
Her energy bill must have just
I cannot even imagine.
Through the roof.
I can't even imagine what her bill would be.
The power strips, I'm assuming, everywhere. Ooh.
It was actually probably an electrical hazard.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can take away from this episode today, all right, don't daisy chain power strips.
No, don't.
If there's one thing you take.
Daisy chain, that's what it's called.
Beware of fire hazard.
I forgot that's what that was called. She would even assist IT workers when they were trying to set up meetings with the companies. Sometimes like Chapman would also be in on the meeting, and then like she would change her name to the person's name. Like the specific example, the guy's name was Daniel, and he was having an issue logging into a Zoom meeting. So she also logged into the Zoom meeting, but she also put that she was Daniel. And then she told him like what to say, so that it was okay that there were two Daniels. And I was like, lady, you're sketchy as fuck. Like, she was sketchy. Anyways, although it was impressive that they were able to sneak their way into Fortune 500 companies, North Korea decided this was not enough and attempted to get hired at government agencies as well. On 3 separate occasions, IT workers infiltrated the government to access positions in high-level agencies. One IT worker, who went by the stolen name of Scion W., got a position with the Immigration and Customs Agency, commonly known as ICE. The position was remote, and he used Chapman's address to put on file. After 4 months at the agency, he was contacted due to, quote, identity issues, and he was asked for his passport or birth certificate. They also required that he get fingerprinted. When he failed to do so, he was let go from the agency. Another IT worker who claimed their name was Royd L. Royd.
Okay.
Yep. Was staffed at the Federal Protective Service, or FPS, in April of 2023. Royd was provided paperwork that he would need to begin employment, including another fingerprint. When he got the information, he informed FPS that he had a death in the family and would not be able to be contacted for a week. Once that week passed, he resigned from the position on May 8th, 2023, claiming that he needed to stay with his family during this tumultuous time. A third IT contractor who was using the stolen name of Dong Si.
They're choosing terrible names.
I know,
man.
they're really like wild names. There were
Dong?
There were some like Dans and stuff.
Okay.
And Scion. I've heard Zion, not Scion.
They're all of these are just like, maybe that was their thing. They're like, we go so weird that people would be like, there's no way someone would choose this.
Well, you know what was so funny? One of them like chose the name Darius. Like this, they stole the name Darius, and they were like, basically like they had to like quit the job because the person wanted to like do wanted them to turn on their camera because they were like, you're being sketchy. And they were like, I can't turn on my camera because I'm Asian. I can't be they're not going to believe I'm Darius.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I feel like if you just turn it on, you were like, what the fuck? And then you were like, oh yeah, I don't know. My parents really liked American culture or something.
Right.
You could talk your way out of it.
You could talk your way out of it.
They just
but he
weren't
was like,
smart enough.
But I also think that like on the application or something that he put that he was black.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
he
Okay.
was
Well,
like-
that would be a problem.
Yeah, and then he was
Yeah.
like, okay, I can't be on camera because I'm North Korean. So Dong Si, he was working for the General Service Administration, and also all of these government agencies also had links to the Department of Homeland Security. So yeah, this was a major issue. Dong provided that his address was Chapman's address and listed her as his spouse. He attended a few meetings, but it was clear that he couldn't properly communicate with the people that he was having the meeting with. And he also attended several meetings where he did not speak. The company also, GSA also had a really hard time getting a hold of him. And so they let him go in October 2nd of 2023. Helping the IT workers was not the only thing that Chapman did that was sketchy. She would also deposit and transfer paychecks to different accounts, like I was talking about a little bit earlier. There were several instances where Chapman would message various people about the money that she was sending and who she should send it to. When Chapman became concerned with the amount of money that she was sending, she said, quote, "And do you know what happens when my bank account gets flagged by the federal government for processing too many large payments and sending them overseas? I get into trouble and I go to prison. I have to make sure I'm doing it the right way."
Wow, she really portended her own prison sentence multiple times.
She literally said, like, she was like, "Oh yeah, I totally know what I'm doing."
It's like, guys, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Another time she had an issue depositing a check because the names didn't match up on the accounts, and this exchange between her and the IT worker. Some of these were just so funny, so I thought they were funny, so that's why I'm including them.
Okay.
But this is the IT worker. Oh wait. Okay. So basically, no. Let me. I don't want to do this whole exchange actually.
Oh, okay.
In the moment, I was like, yeah, but then now I'm like, this is too long.
Say, we can do a dramatic reading if you want.
Yes, let's do a dramatic reading.
Do you want to be Chapman?
I'll be Chapman and you be WH.
Does WH, what's my background? What's my motivation?
Your motivation is that you are trying to get money for your missile program, or your boss is probably going to kill you. And you're not going to get any of this money, but your family's life is on the line.
Okay. Am I North Korean?
Yes.
Okay, I won't do the accent.
Okay.
They're saying they sent another paper check on 2/3. Any paper check you received? And would you find someone who can help with physical paper checks? I will pay 30% fee if needed. The problem is that Irving B isn't real person's name. It would be great if you could spare me just a few mins to discuss about the paper checks.
That's probably why it didn't go through the bank, as the name is fake. I could go to prison for fraud for that. So Irving is not a real person at all. So like, it's obvious that based on these exchanges that she had, like we just said, like she knew what she was doing was wrong. She knew she could go to jail, and she knew that she could have severe consequences. And the amount of money that Chapman was moving around was astounding. In one account alone, she deposited over $900,000. Like, we're talking, I mean, we said that, or I said, these positions that people were getting were in Fortune 500 companies. They were getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah, and IT can make a lot of money.
Yes.
Too. Yeah.
Like some of these people were making over $300,000 a year. So this wasn't just chunk change. Although the IT workers were making a ton of money at various companies, Chapman herself was making a pretty penny for orchestrating it all. Chapman charged the IT workers for rent of the laptops and other fees associated with running a laptop farm, which included shipment, technical support, logging into the accounts, storage, connecting to company networks, etc. As hard as it would be to run this type of operation, Chapman was not completely covert in her operations. When it came to payment, she did reveal which accounts the money should be deposited into because she knew the feds were watching some of her accounts.
All right.
The entire operation blew up in May 2024 when Christina Chapman was arrested in her Arizona home. In total, the scheme generated over $17 million, which, remember, was all falsely reported to the IRS and the Social Security office. Over 70 U.S. citizens had their identity stolen. So they would steal someone's identity and also use it for multiple jobs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't just use it for one job. They would use it for multiple jobs.
Just a hardworking person.
Yep. Of course, Chapman did not operate alone in this. She worked alongside Ukrainian man, I'm going to try to say this right, Alexander Didenko. And then these next three names are aliases. They're believed to be North Korean. They may also be Chinese people who are operating in this, but it's Ji Ho Han, Chunji Jin, and Horan Ju. So they all are in trouble, but only Alexander and Christina were arrested.
Because they were the only ones
so he's
in America?
Well, so actually he's in Poland and they're trying to extradite him. So TBD on that, but she was the only one in America. Those involved with the scheme are being charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit bank fraud, aggravated identity theft, conspiracy to commit identity fraud, conspiracy to launder monetary instruments, operating as an unlicensed money transferring business, and unlawful employment of aliens. So the three people whose names were aliases, the John Does, they're also charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering. Chapman's trial will begin on June 16th, 2024. It is thought that she will get 7 to 9 years for her crimes. However, there were some sources when she was initially arrested that I was finding. When she was initially arrested, they were saying she could face up to 97 years. The 7 to 9 years is telling me that she has been cooperative. So I think it would be in our best interest to be cooperative.
I would be too. You kidding me? I got no allegiances to people in North Korea at that point. I'm like, nope.
Nope.
Guys, I told you you'd get me in trouble. And you got me in trouble.
You got me in trouble. I literally told you.
I'm telling them everything about you.
Told you. Actually, I'd be worried that they'd take me out in prison.
I don't think they have that kind of pull out here.
Really?
Yeah, no. I don't think the North Koreans are going to be able to execute you in an American prison.
Maybe not.
They do not have that kind of influence.
Probably not. A deal with the devil or dictator put Christina Chapman right into hell. It's good to note that when you are being contacted by an enemy of your country, it's probably best to block and report the message to the FBI. Instead, Christina Chapman used that message to propel herself into wealth and make a comfortable life for herself. It is interesting that she chose a life of comfort, making money for a country who cares not for its people, only for its nuclear power. The people of North Korea starve on a daily basis. Instead of helping those in need, Christina Chapman took that opportunity to finance her own lifestyle while stealing the identities of her own people. In my opinion, 7 years will be too lenient.
Well, she won't serve all that either.
I know, that's what's crazy. I actually think she deserves more. Like for aiding an enemy of the United States and then like screwing so many of your own people over.
Yeah, I'm surprised she did like that they didn't get her for some sort of like
treason or
something like aiding a foreign like a foreign enemy, an adversary to the United States. There's got to be something about that.
Yeah,
that they just said to defraud, which is crazy. So that is probably light.
Yes,
for her, definitely.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We'll keep you updated in June when we find out about that trial. We'll see how that unfolds. I think it'll be pretty interesting to see how that one all plays out.
It seems like the defense does not have a very solid. You said they were going to argue like she didn't know. It seems like they don't have a solid argument for that. So we'll see.
I mean, I don't really know how solid her argument is going to be at all. Like,
if she's cooperating, then she's probably already agreed to a plea deal of some sort. So.
I kind of just think you would have to.
Well, yeah. Or that's what they're working towards if she's cooperating. So
yeah. But on that note, If you liked what you heard and you want more, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook.com/WhiteCollarsRedHands. We're on Twitter at White Collars or X at White Collars Pod. We are on Instagram at White Collars_Red_Hands. We're on TikTok at White Collars Red Hands. We're also on YouTube. Go follow us over on that YouTube. You can watch this in real time.
Not in real time. We don't do it live.
Well, okay, no.
You can watch a video for sure.
Yeah. In your own real time.
Yeah. Time's relative, says Albert Einstein. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, time's just a construct, actually. Age is just a number. Anyway.
This is getting worse.
Anyway, go watch us on YouTube at White Collars Red Hands. If you want another way to support us, you can leave a review. You can leave reviews on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We love a 5-star review, but an honest review is also great as well. Another great way to support us is by telling. It's been a while.
The buffering
it's been like a month
right there. Yeah,
it's been like a month. Another great way you can support us is by telling a friend. Word of mouth is one of the greatest ways to spread information. And if you like a podcast, I'm sure your friend will like it too. So send us their way. If you want an unfree way to support us, you can do so by buying some merch. I'm wearing my White Collars Red Hands hoodie as we speak. I got that over at TeePublic. If you go to our website, whitecollarsredhands.com, click on the merch tab, it'll take you on over to TeePublic, and you can get something cute to wear with our logo on it. I feel like I'm missing something.
Say no. I think it's it's probably everything. Whatever.
Oh, if you think of if you hear of a white collar crime story and you're like, oh my gosh, Nina and Kashan should actually cover this, you can send it our way. You can send either DM us or email us at whitecollarsredhands@gmail.com. Actually, this was like kind of a fan submitted This was a submitted episode by someone that I was dating, and then they broke up with me. So that is yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for you made one good decision by
Thanks.
By giving us this episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was interesting, so I guess thanks for that. Anyways, we'll see you next time on another episode of White Collars, Red Hands.